Hi everyone, this is Amanda Ellis of amandaellis.co.uk, Facebook page, Angelic Celestial Colours. It's Saturday the 14th of January, we are a week away before the inauguration of Donald Trump, and I have been asked by Archangel Metatron to speak on this subject today. So what follows is completely unrehearsed. He's asked me to look at the numerology of the inauguration day, but also to try to make sense of what's going on at the moment. I think it'd be interesting to look back to the two inauguration dates of Barack Obama. One was in 2009, the other was in 2013, to see what the path looked like that has got us to the place where we are at this time, which, whether you agree with Trump's politics or not, I think all of us probably feel very unsettled by what is a very topsy-turvy energy at the moment coming out of America, and even if you don't live in America, it is affecting the global consciousness. So it's very important that we try to understand it from a higher perspective, and that's what this video is about, is trying to understand it from a higher perspective. So the rabid political sort of tit for tat that we see online a lot, I'd like to try and keep that off this page if we can. If it starts up, I will just disable the comments, so I'm telling you that for now, because this is work which is divinely led, and Archangel Metatron, to be honest, is above all of that, okay? So I'm going to allow him to speak through me today to help us understand some of this energy that we are all wading through at this time. Before I do that, I'm going to spray the Archangel Metatron Spiritual Protection Spray around myself. And also, I'd like you to imagine that it's coming down around you. I'm using a white variant of it, which feels as though I need that one in particular. But let's just ask Archangel Metatron to shield us. And the thing that he is reminding us of, and I've been talking to people about this a lot this week, is that if you are subject to any negative energy that is around you, and it's going to be a week of very heightened emotions, remember that you have a choice in terms of whether you accept another person's energy into your auric field. So this is to do with arguments, confrontation, differences of opinion that get too heated and then get personal. Really, it's about return to sender. So what Archangel Metatron is increasingly teaching us is that go within. Does it feel true or doesn't it? And that goes for what is said in this video as well. If it feels true, wonderful, I hope it helps you. If it doesn't, move on from it and find another source that resonates more. Because what we don't need to do is play that old game of I'm right and you're wrong. That's so old 3D energy, okay? So with love and light, let's get this going. I'm also going to just spray the Archangel Metatron Flame Orange Attunement Spray, which is like a guiding light really. So let's just welcome Metatron's energy in. And just pause for one moment. Feel his strength, feel his light. Feel the fact that he has this situation within his hands. He has the earth within his hands. He understands duality. And duality is something that as a world we are being asked to face at this time. Okay, let's look then at the numerology around this coming inauguration. Donald Trump gets inaugurated next Friday on the 20th of January 2017. If you add all of those digits up, what we do is we get to a single digit. That's what we're after. So if you add 20 and 1, 2 and 1, and 2 and 1 and 7, okay, following my drift. So you're adding all the single digits of 20, 1 and 2017, you get to 13. So, and then if you boil 13 down, we get to 4. 1 and 3 make 4. Don't worry about the maths, it's really not important, it's about the energy. The important thing is that Donald Trump's inauguration is related to 3 different numbers. 20, 13 and 4. And so we're going to look at those. Now, one thing I want to say about this is that with numbers and with colours that correlate to them, there is no such thing as a good or bad vibration, because everything has both within it light and dark, lessons and gifts, blessings and challenges. So it's very important that you remember that. The final number, number 4, is linked to this colour energy. Okay, so I'm going to put that up to the light. Can you see that? And it's the energy of a dark yellow and a green. And I know it doesn't look particularly green on my camera, but that's the colour energy that we're looking at with this inauguration of Trump. So we've got these two colour combinations, yellow and a very, very dark green. Number 4 is linked into the planet Uranus, and Uranus is the sudden change bringer. It talks of disruptions to the old order, letting go of anything that no longer serves you, and this obviously is talking collectively here. And 4 is very much about disruption and change, revolution really. And so it's an unsettling vibration, and it's really the only given with this is to say that expect the unexpected. Change is coming in, and we're not quite sure how that's going to look yet, or what format it's going to be, but change is here. We can already feel that anyway, that change is here. But as I say, it links to the planet Uranus. So that's the number 4 vibration. If we go back one step, and to make 4 we got to 13. 13 is linked into the energy of the phoenix that rises from the ashes, death and rebirth, transformation. The colours that go with it are a very dark violet, which is also to do sometimes with being of service, being of spiritual service. Remembering that those that challenge us, those that push our buttons sometimes, are the ones that also teach us as well. And one thing that came to me thinking about this over breakfast, because I knew I was going to make this video, is Metatron was showing me the image of Donald Trump this week when he was giving his first press briefing, or I don't know what it was the first press conference. It's the one where he singles out CNN for providing fake news. And over and above anything that he said, Metatron was just showing me the energy of him, okay? And it struck me that, or it reminded me of a very patriarchal energy. It actually took me back to memories of my own father. Not that my own father is anything like Donald Trump, and my father is still alive and is a very loving man. I have a really lovely, good relationship with him these days. But I grew up in the 1960s, and in the 1960s, it was absolutely accepted practice for parents to give you a smack, give you a whack. Discipline was very, very normal. Now, I can only talk from the UK perspective, but in the UK now, you're not allowed to do that to your children. It's against the law. Don't want to get into the rights and wrongs of that, but I was just given this flashback to this very disciplinarian father figure. And then I was likening it to this energy that was coming out of Trump, where it was a sort of aggressive, assertive pointing a finger. I'm not talking to you, shut up. If you saw the press conference, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it felt to me as though something's coming up here via Trump, rightly or wrongly, whether he's doing it consciously or subconsciously, that is about trying to help us to heal our father wound, okay? So that's just something maybe for another time to look deeper into. But definitely this sort of disciplinarian, old energy from certainly my childhood, the 1960s, and certainly before that, needs to be brought up to be healed. And I feel that in some weird way, he's going to be doing that. He's doing that just by making us aware that we're still holding a bit of that within ourselves. I know somebody, and this isn't me, it's not related to my family, but I know somebody, and again, they're in their 70s or 80s now. And when I had my two girls, my babies, and I went through the usual thing of they wouldn't go to sleep, and, you know, I was absolutely worn out, as all new mothers and fathers know. You get so worn out and you're so desperate for them to go to sleep. And you're like a sponge. You readily absorb any advice that you can get in terms of how do I get this child to sleep. And to my absolute horror, this person turned to me and said, well, you know what we did in my day, Amanda? I said, no. And she said, well, we used to tie them to the bed. I mean, it's extreme stuff. But this very loving woman, now in her 80s, used to not tie in terms of it being terribly uncomfortable, but just with a bit of loose bedding or something, would tie the child to the bed to get it to sleep. And she did it because she needed her sleep and she felt the baby needed their sleep. That is such an anathema now to, I mean, nobody would do that now unless you're a chronic child abuser. But you can only understand it in the climate of many, many years ago when lots of things were more accepted. So that's a really extreme example, but I'm using it to just try to maybe make you start to think about your father wound, okay? So that's something rather unexpected that came up with me thinking about Trump this morning. So I'm going to give that to you. Let's go back to the Phoenix, the death and rebirth stuff. 13 is what we call, although it's not a master number per se, it's not 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. It is known as the number of the master. Because there were, for example, 12 disciples and Christ. Christ was the 13th figure. There were 12 members of the Round Table and Arthur. So 13 is associated with masterhood in some way. That is not saying that I feel that Trump is some Jesus Christ figure. That would be a complete perversion of what I'm trying to get across to you here. I'm just trying to make the point that this 13 energy, the day that he is inaugurated, is important. It's spiritually significant. And it's about death and rebirth. Now, you can take that in a literal way, but to me, I'm being shown the ashes, okay? So if you think about the phoenix rises from the ashes, and everyone thinks, well, it is. It's a good thing, because when something has become broken and needs to change, you need to purify it in the only way that really eradicates it forever, and that is through the element of fire. But to get fire, you have the ashes. And at the moment, I'm just seeing the ashes. I'm not quite seeing the phoenix. The phoenix feels as though it hasn't quite yet flown, okay? It feels as though I'm just being shown the pile of ashes. That's what I'm being shown here. But out of those ashes will come the phoenix. Whether it comes by next Friday, whether it comes by next month, whether it's in a year's time. This is symbolic of America and the energy that needs to be rebirthed there. And for whatever reason, Donald Trump is coming in anti-establishment to help with that process. As I say, I feel a lot of what he's doing is probably subconscious. He isn't consciously realising maybe all of what he's doing. But there is this rebirth that's coming through him. And birth can be painful, or birth can be very gentle and beautiful. And at the moment, it's feeling difficult, challenging and painful, not just for America, but for the world that are watching as well. And don't forget, what's going on in America is very much being mirrored in other countries as well. So we've got this energy of death and rebirth. We've got the energy of Uranus, excuse me, the planet of change and disruption of the old order. And then we've got the vibration of 20. Now, I don't have an energy for 20. Within the colour mirror system that I teach and I've trained people in for a long, long time, It's related to two colours. It's related to copper brown, which is the element of earth, and magenta, which represents the higher realms. And it's very much about trying to bring heaven to earth. I think here, with regard to this inauguration day, it's about, well, what I'm being shown by Metatron is that the Trump energy at the moment is a very earthy energy. It's about, what do I need day to day? And it can be quite selfish. You know, what does this country need? And we need to, I'm not saying I agree with any of this, but, you know, we need to build a wall. We need to keep ourselves safe. We need to blah, blah, blah. It's all very earthy stuff. And if I had the bottle to show you, it's as though there is this, like this one, there is this division. And on the top fraction is brown, which represents the earth, and on the bottom fraction is the magenta, or maybe it's the other way around, it doesn't matter. But it's as though the magenta fraction of it, the divine love, because magenta is about divine love, is struggling to get through. You know, heaven on earth, being able to bring in a higher vibration of love and light and enlightenment is struggling to get here onto this earth planet at this time. So somehow there needs to be a breakthrough with that. Let's come back to that in a moment. I want to go back a step in terms of how did we get here. And I want to look back now at Obama and his 2 inauguration dates, because they're quite interesting and they sort of maybe make sense of where we're at now. If we go back to 2009, Obama was inaugurated on the 20th of January. That's the date when US presidents get inaugurated. 20th of January 2009. One thing, there's a rhyme. Monday's child is fair of face. Tuesday's child is full of grace. That came into my mind today as I was just tuning into the vibrations, because the 20th of January 2009 was a Tuesday. And one of the things that has been said about Obama, and I really believe this myself as well, is he is and was a very graceful man. So that's just as an aside, but this thing about grace came through. So if you again look at the numbers of the 20th of January 2009, we get to 20, we get to 14, and we get to 5. 1 and 4 make 5. So we'll come back and we'll look at 20 a little bit more at the moment, because that's a theme that runs through all of the presidents. And I'd like to draw some cards on that because it isn't completely clear. In fact, it's a bit like mud at the moment, so we'll make it clearer. But the 14 and 5. So Obama came in 2009. The vibration of 14 is the most beautiful turquoise. I don't know if you can see behind me my picture of Metatron on the wall, but can you see that beautiful turquoise stripe? That's underneath him. That's really shouting at me as I'm talking to you. I can see it in my, I've got the camera reflected back to me so I can see myself as I'm talking to you. That beautiful turquoise energy, that's the energy of 14. Very similar to the water element that I've got here, which is the Archangel Metatron water element. Let me just spray this around myself just to inspire me whilst I'm talking to you about the 14 energy. Okay, so Obama and 14, this is when he first came in. 14 is about the world. It's about a global outlook. It is about networking. It's about technology. It's about bringing the world to you. It's being part of the world. It's to do with communication. It's to do with flow. It's a very expansive, open energy, as is turquoise itself. Water itself, it flows. And it's also very deeply sensitive. Turquoise is linked into the emotions. It's also linked into the Aquarian age. And we know that we are now within the Aquarian age. So here was somebody who came in who represented that. Whatever you think of his track record, whatever you think of what he did, we're going back right to the start here. And there's a really cold energy that's coming down now as I'm talking about this. Very, very noticeable. So I'm just going to tune into that. And when you get a coldness that comes around you, it's a real sign that spirit is near. So I'm feeling as though he came in and was very spiritually protected at that time. It feels as though it was divinely meant to happen. There is, I don't know whether you can feel this watching me, because I know that sometimes you're very able to pick up the energies that I'm feeling at the moment as well. but there is this real coldness around me now. Okay, I'm being shown a block of ice, and it's as though he came in, and maybe this was a collective energy within America at that time, and it was trying to chip away at that block of ice, whatever that block of ice represented. Old oppression, old ethos. He came in on hope and a new way that he was trying to bring forward. And as I'm saying that now, the energy is starting to thaw a bit and there's a bit of warmth coming back in. But it literally was, I'm being shown he was like trying to chip away at this ice, this frozen state of consciousness is what Metatron is saying to me. And rather than being given a pickaxe to be able to do it, he was given like a tiny little, I don't know what I would call it. It's like a tiny pickaxe. So rather than it being a great big sledgehammer, which is what he really needed, that wasn't for some reason given. And it feels as though he might have come in on a mandate, but he wasn't given permission at a higher level to actually smash down, for whatever reason, that old structure at the time. So that's a slightly strange thing that I've just been told there, but that's what I'm being told to say to you. So he was given a much smaller little pickaxe where he was able to chip away a little bit, but I sense this huge frustration that was behind him, which we can see in the next date when he was inaugurated on 20th of January 2013. That very flowing Aquarian turquoise energy is replaced by red. It's like an angry, frustrated red energy linked into the energy of 9, which is the planet Mars as well. But let's go, we'll refer back to that in a moment. I want to stick to the 2009 energy first for Obama. So we've got this 14 energy, and I'm still feeling this coldness around me. And actually at this point, I'm just wanting to send him some spiritual protection too. So let's just do that. Put that around him and his family also. Okay. The next vibration linked into the 2009 inauguration of Obama was number 5. So we had the 14 energy, beautiful turquoise, the world, the collective consciousness, and then we've also got this energy of 5. This is really what he was. 5 is Mercury. It's related to the planet Mercury, which is the great communicator. I was watching a video the Leo King made a few days ago about Obama's track record, and it was really interesting. You could maybe watch that if you haven't watched it already, because he was saying that when he came in and when he gives his inauguration speeches or he gives his farewell speech, as he's just done, you have this almost like Leo type personality that's able to just speak so passionately and emotively and connect to people and make people believe every word of what he's saying. But during his actual tenure in the White House, he was much more an Aquarian, and Aquarians can be quite detached emotionally and sometimes don't act in the way that they need to. I've got an Aquarius moon, for example, so I do know what I'm talking about here. We can be quite detached when we need to be. And I don't want to repeat what Leo King has said in his video. You can watch that yourself. But it explains a bit about this communication that I'm picking up here as well. So he came in, as I say, with all this beautiful turquoise, watery, flowing energy, Aquarian energy, brilliant communicator. This is also the one that's saying, take off the mask, let the world see who you really are. But I feel this is collective for America at that time. It was about asking America to take off its mask and look behind and see what actually lay underneath. But it's a bottle full of hope as well. I've got a new spray that I'm making within the next couple of weeks, and it is a beautiful green energy, and it's called Hope. And he did come in on this great tidal wave of hope. Roll forward to 2013, and the 20th of January 2013 works out at a number 9 energy, and we can't condense it down any more than that. It's just 9. And 9 is related to Mars. It's the warlike planet. But it's also very much about frustration and anger. And it's asking you to use your anger constructively, to find an outlet for that anger. But more than anything, I'm feeling this huge sense of frustration that he probably had around that time of not being able to get anything done. And I'm sort of feeling that what happened was probably because he was coming up against brick wall after brick wall after brick wall. There was this almost, I want to say, slightly childlike quality that came out, which was, if I can't get my way, I'll sort of take my toys away and go and play somewhere else. And I say that with love, but I feel it explains maybe some of the inactivity during that period. And it's a strange one because you've got Mars, which is this dynamic, go-getting energy, wanting to make a difference, wanting to roll up your sleeves and get on with it. But equally, the flip side is just, I'm so frustrated because I can't do any of it. And so because I can't do any of it, I'm almost sort of losing the will a little bit. I'm going to pull a card actually on that. I've got some cards here just to get another aspect to that. Yeah, let's just pull a card. These are the Universal Prophecy cards by Julie Mackenzie. They were calling me today. That one. Relationships. Okay, it's the card of relationships that I've pulled here. And I think that probably confirms what I'm saying, because the relationship between the different houses within US, obviously they weren't working together and he was being blocked at all points. So I feel like he withdrew a little bit into family and friends, and rather than, which is a strange thing to say because I know he was President of the United States, but that's what I'm picking up here. Okay, so that's that. So can you see that that's the energy of where we've come from, and now we are at the date that we are at, which is we're coming through to Trump's inauguration this Friday, and it's all now about change has to happen. Change has to happen. Change has to come into the country. Change has to come into the collective consciousness. I'm just seeing, you know, the Obama last term, this great big, all I can express it. It's like steam. It's like this. Oh, it's like this volcano that just needs to explode and hasn't, and all these ideas and creativity and onward movement and progression not being able to get started. And so something has to give, and that feels that explains this Uranus energy that we have with Trump, which is change is going to happen whether you like it or not. And this isn't actually, it sounds very strange here, this isn't so much political, it's energetic. Something has to come in to change the dynamics of a two-party and two-house system that was no longer working for the collective good. And that's actually irrespective of whichever party, whether Republican or Democrat. Let's look a little bit more into this 20 energy, because it's very interesting that I think since the 1930s, all presidents have had to be inaugurated on the 20th. And actually, as I'm saying that, I almost don't need to pull a card, because Metatron is saying, don't you see the reoccurring theme? The reoccurring theme for it being the 20th is that the 20th is about trying to bring heaven to earth, and no one has been able to do it yet. A few might have come close to trying to bring it, and I'm being shown Kennedy here now as one example of that, and he was obviously taken down. Let's not go into that. But this whole thing about 20 it's the promise. It's like the elusive carrot that's dangled in front of us that says, yes, you can live in peace. Yes, you can have compassion for your fellow man. Yes, we can all get on together. Yes, we can all have equality and lead a good life. But it hasn't happened yet. And so it's almost like every 4 years we come back to the 20th. And the 20th is always about how do we bring heaven to earth. And that's not about the angels suddenly appearing in the sky and descending down onto planet Earth and we're living in some utopia. No, no, no. Heaven on earth is about realising there is no separation, that you can live a beautiful, divine, abundant life right here, right now. You don't have to wait till you die to get to some amazing, nirvana state. You can have it here. That's such an important point, because it's not about saying let's wait for some, revelation, wait until we die. If we're really, really good, we die and then we get to this heaven state, and then we look back on earth and think, God, that was awful. It's about, we can have it right now. But we don't believe that. We don't believe that. And so our leaders are not reflecting that to us. The more that we can try and step into it and realise that we can have that divine experience, that true love and beauty experience right here, right now, today, literally today, that will start to shift the collective consciousness, and then our leaders will reflect that. But none of them have up to this point in time. So that explains the 20. As to this Friday and what it will bring, I have absolutely no idea. And Metatron is not showing me that, because the whole point of this energy, which is falling over as I try to talk to you about it, is it's saying expect the unexpected. The unexpected by nature is unexpected. You're not supposed to know what it is. And don't forget, that doesn't have to be bad. It could be, let's hope it is, that Trump can rise to the challenges of the position that he is going to be inaugurated into and make a really good go of it. Nobody wants to see anybody fail. So that's the best case scenario. But whatever happens, I think we need to understand that this change is long overdue. And as I keep hearing, Metatron is saying it's energetic change. I'm also being shown something that was posted to me on my personal page this week, and it was about demonstrations in Turkey. And the demonstrations in Turkey haven't been widely reported in the media, but they were very, very peaceful, very, very peaceful. And there was these beautiful pictures of just young men, young Turkish men, and they're just standing in their thousands in peaceful protest with no weapons, with just their arms beside them, not singing, not doing anything, totally silent, just protesting about aspects of the regime there. And, that's the way to go with this. So I think over and above anything else, we need to pray for peaceful protest, peaceful change to happen, and for that and to hold the highest vision of that for next week and all that follows. I am just going to pull one card now just to finish off this video, and then I'm going to post it up. I had written some posts on the separate numerology of Donald Trump and Barack Obama, and I will try and repost those to my Facebook page, or I'll just put them as a link if I can on YouTube in one of the comments boxes, because I did that a few months ago, way before Trump was elected, so it might be quite interesting actually just to review what came through there. Okay, so 2 cards Metatron. First one, these two. Makes sense. First one is journey. He's reminding us we are on a journey, okay? I'm being shown that, and I don't almost really want to read what's written there at the bottom because it doesn't feel appropriate. He's saying we're on a journey into the unknown, okay? We're on a journey into the unknown. And when we do that, when we're entering unknown territory, we have to hold the highest vision of the best place that we can arrive at on that journey, okay? That image on the card with the journey feels as though we're going a little bit into the void as well. There is a void-like state that we are all entering. And don't forget, the void, even though it can be dark, it is from the void that everything is created. That's where the birth happens. That's where the phoenix can come through. So in terms of a colour energy that may help explain this, I'm just going to put this one up to the camera. This is the Metatron Indigo Light in the Dark, okay? And let's just put that around ourselves, because the light in the dark, the indigo, it's like giving each of us, what's being given to each of you is your own personal torch, okay? To navigate through this journey that has already started, okay? It's like we can't get off the bus, it's moving, we can't get off it. Okay, it's a really strange analogy to give you, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. I was watching the movie Speed last night. It's a really old movie with Keanu Reeves, and it's a silly old film really, but it talks about, you know, this bus, and it's got explosives on board, and so the bus has to be kept at a steady rate. It can't stop and it can't go over a certain speed. And there's almost the symbolism within that, because Metatron is saying it's not that we're all about to be blown up or anything like that, but we have to keep a steady pace, okay? We have to keep a steady pace. You don't just give up, you know, because you don't agree with maybe what's going on at the moment in time. What you do is you keep steady, you keep moving forward, you keep believing in what you know is possible for this world. So that's journey. And the next one is gratitude, okay? Gratitude. It's so important to maintain a high vibration of gratitude, of joy, of light and of love coming into this next week. The card on the bottom of the pack is the eternal infinity symbol, okay? Representing, I feel divine protection, but it is just that eternalness of life as well, and the interconnectedness of everything as well. So, putting any politics aside, I wish for a peaceful transition of power, and I ask Archangel Metatron to help all of us through the coming weeks, months and years to be able to ride these waves of change that are coming in, to realise that there's a degree where we can't control at the moment what is happening. I'm being shown, okay, what I'm being shown, when I just said we can't control anything that happens, I'm being shown it's like a fairground ride. It's like being on a roller coaster, okay? And the roller coaster goes up and it goes down, and there are times when you feel quite nauseous and want to get off it. And there's other times where you think, actually, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe I can actually see a different perspective up here. I've never thought about that before. But remember that somebody is actually in control of that ride, okay? And eventually it will slow down and it will come to a more even pace again. So we've all signed up for this, folks. Whether you know it or not, we have all signed up for this. Anybody that is elected, anybody that is in a position of power, we have put them there, not just because we might have voted them in, but because the collective consciousness they're a reflection of that. They can't not be. So sending you lots of love. Hold the faith. Let's hope for as peaceful a ride as possible. Much love, everyone. Bye-bye for now.